I am so excited to share the secrets of Melting Point with you. Thank you so much for your interest in my magic. Thank you so much for purchasing Melting Point. Melting Point has evolved. It started as a really strong principle. And then over the years, literally years, because many years ago, I had a trick called Dough. And Dough was this impromptu, really cool penetration of a borrowed bill. And I was working on it, and I always thought it could get better and better. And so over the years, I've added little subtleties to it. And then about, I don't know, several years ago, let's say, Canada started using, like so many countries do now, the plastic polymer fiber bills. And so that no longer could I just take a pencil and poke it through a borrowed bill. It wasn't credible. And without people's belief, you have nothing. So you're going to find that Melting Point is a combination of a few things. First, a really simple, clever principle that's very organic and simple to do, combined with a presentation that now takes this trick to the next level. Very important. The presentation plays a very important part in being able to do this. Finally, near the end of this little tutorial here, I'm going to share with you a brand new gimmick. Now, this brand new gimmick, combined with the new presentation and some of the new subtleties and things like this, takes it to a monster level of credibility, of making it absolutely convincible. So now you can take any bill in the world, whether it's a paper bill or a plastic bill, you can borrow any bill in the world, all right? You can credibly, visually, even with audio components, convince people you have damaged the bill, and a moment later it can be restored. It's restored. It can be a signed bill, borrowed bill, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so really exciting here. I'm going to jump into this in just in a second. So remember, there are no switches of the bill. People come up with ideas that are clever, they're smart, they have, but if you can't perform it in the real world for real people, I'm not saying it's crap. I'm just saying it's not my kind of magic. I want stuff you can actually do. So which means it's a whole different kind of magic. You can't use a lot of sort of silly, angly, crappy techniques. It's got to be stuff you can actually practice for a while and then go out and do. And this is it. So there's no switches, okay? There's no palming. There's actually no palming in this routine and no difficult sleights, okay? I'm sort of looking at my notes here because I want to make sure I cover all this stuff, okay? Okay, so let's look at the basic handle right now. This is the original Dough handling, which I really, there are so many virtues to this. It works so well. The original handling was this. You borrow a bill, okay? Borrow a bill. Put it in your hand. Fold it in half very clearly, okay? Then take, let's say, a pen, because I'm going to show you can do with a few different things, okay? And you'd say, I hope you don't mind if I just put a small little hole in your bill. They can see it. You can show it on both sides, okay? And then you can either pull the pen right out or listen carefully. I want you to hear this. Yank, visibly yank that pen right through the middle of the bill. And a moment later, okay, no switches, nothing funny. Say, you know why they call it dough? It's an old American expression. They call it dough because you can actually knead the fibers in the bill and try to get that hole to be going, gone. Now, I did this trick, and they can closely examine it. There are no holes. It's absolutely undamaged. Even though it looks so good, and they even heard you tear the pen out of it. So I did that forever, okay? Borrow it, boom, give it back. What a great opening trick. You could close with that. It works so well. I'm going to show you a couple of little handling points on that. But then along came the polymer fiber bills, right? And no longer could I take a pen and just jam it through. But I've developed handlings, little ideas. So first, let's literally break down this handling before I get into the presentational points, and we slowly work our way to the reveal of a very cool gimmick that adds so much to it. So what am I doing in the original handling? I'm borrowing the bill, okay? Clearly, I'm taking the bill, put it in my hand, folding it in half. No bad angles, you're good to go. I just did 98% of the secret work for this trick. What I did was this. I held the bill, middle finger in the front, right dead center, or maybe a tiny bit that away of the center, and the thumb on the back. And as I put the bill in my hand, this is the majority of the secret work. It goes in. My first finger and thumb and finger start to pinch. It's important that they pinch there, okay? That allows me to, with the thumb, push the thumb neatly. The tip of the thumb is going in, creating immediately a funnel. And you want this funnel parallel to the side, okay? You don't want the funnel pointing too far up, okay, or too far down. Because if the funnel is not perfectly, you want the funnel, the invisible funnel or tunnel in the bill to be parallel to the sides. If it's angled one way or another, for example, here it's angled, when I put the pen in, it's going to be at a funny angle, okay? Because what you're doing, okay, this is the only practice it'll take. When I put it in behind the fingers, nobody sees anything here, okay? There's no bad angle. I've just created that funnel. And because I've practiced a lot, of course, I know how to get that funnel. So now, with the funnel going perfectly, okay, I mean, look at this. You can handle it real casually. Looks like you've done nothing. But you really put this fold in the bill. Now I can take the pen, okay? I swing it casually in, but what I'm trying to do is make sure with the tip of the pen, I find the funnel. I find that funnel, right? Now, because of where I'm holding it, my fingers and thumb are holding just a little end of that. Because I find the funnel. Now I squeeze with the fingers because you want this pen to have this action. Oh, on both sides, okay? It looks to all the world like you've just jammed. Now you don't want it angling this way or this way. Straight up is the best, okay? Now from this point, there's a few options I want to bring your attention to. Number one is you can do this. Pull it right out. So they saw it go right through the middle and then you can crumple it up, right? Or from this juncture, from this point, you can do this, show both sides, and you do it like, you could even present it as an illusion. This is a bit of an optical illusion. I mean, it really looks like it's going through the bill, but don't worry, it's not. And of course, they're thinking, well, is it? Is it not? Or you can pull straight back down and crumple. Or, as I did here, when I first performed this for you guys, I put my finger on the paper tunnel, okay? Right on the bill, on the paper tunnel. And I move my hands around like this. You don't want to go so far as to show this part, but you show it here. And as soon as the pen is cleared, sort of the crotch of the left thumb, now I'm going to go down firmly. Pen's going down, fingers on top, and you get two things. One, you get this nice sound. Okay, sound. And two, as the finger goes down, you straighten out the tunnel. Okay, the tunnel gets largely straightened out, which is kind of nice. Boom, you can do that, which means with it, now you can kind of hold it like this for a moment, and the tunnel's gone, the fold's gone, they saw you stick it in, they hear and see you drag it down. You can even have the spectator. Okay, now I'm showing you all these little details from the original because if you want, you can incorporate a bunch of these into the final handling I'm going to show you here. Is at this juncture, notice too, what you can do is you could fold, and this is an idea of David Harkey's, a wonderful idea, is having skewered, you can now fold the bill, not so much to reveal, but notice now, I can show it on all sides. Okay, you can even have the spectator hold on to it. Spectator holds on to the ends of the pen, and now I can now I'm going to pull it, and as I kind of go 1, 2, and on 3, I'm going to yank it, grab the front, and yank everything kind of back towards me. More audio, all right? Now you crumple it up, talk about the dome restored. So those are a few different handling ideas. Now, whether you're using a paper bill or one of these darn new polymer bills, one of the biggest challenges to this is the creases. Okay? If I use a brand new polymer bill, okay, and I borrow that bill, put it in my hand, get my secret fold in, looks beautiful. So simple, okay? I've got two problems. One, if I take a pen and say I'm going to put it through, no one's going to really believe that pen went through the bill. Okay, so you're already behind. Second is when you restore it, okay, boom, look, there's a little bit of, see that fold? Okay, that fold could give it away. You could give that back to a spectator. A spectator could literally play with this and maybe discover the idea of a fold, okay? So what do? You need to crumple that bill, okay? And you either do it at the end, or I like to sometimes do, is you borrow the bill, okay, here, and I've thrown this little line of presentation. I'm going to share a few presentation lines with you later in this. But one presentation line I don't want to forget is this notion of these new plastic bills are not quite as strong as you might think. And this idea is, this is a hack I learned on YouTube. Because what you can do is you can crumple the bill up, and that actually weakens the fibers of the bill. So now I put a whole bunch of creases in it. So there's no way later on when I do the fold, there's no one anyone's going to see a particular crease in a new bill and catch me. The other line I like to use is this weakens the fibers, and I say, actually, I don't know if you know this about these two, is that because people handle bills almost strictly around the edges, that's where the thicker fibers are. That's where they have, actually, you can't tell by the eye, but in the middle of the bill, there's a lot denser fibers, or a lot less dense fibers, okay? A motorbike going by there with looks like a dolphin on it. So I use that line around the edges, but if I crumple this, it weakens the whole bill. Okay, and it sounds credible, weakening the fibers and the plastic. They're more around the edges, but the dead center. Okay, so another idea I want to throw out here, and I got so many ideas, is you might want to have someone with a Sharpie draw a circle in the middle of the bill. Then, rather than having the initial of the bill, they could draw a circle or put initials in the bill. And this circling has a nice visual focusing. It also really emphasizes this notion that the fibers in the middle of the bill are not as thick. The bill is actually weaker in the middle than on the edges, okay? So, what have we done? We did the basic handling. Now, I want to mention, too, that with the original bill, if you are in America or some country that doesn't have, I mean, once you got is that a wooden skewer? You could talk about barbecuing a bill, right? And the wooden skewer going through, and I think you'll agree again. I mean, it looks so good. You can just flat. I mean, that clearly this skewer, there's no question it's going through the middle of the bill, okay? It's just about presentation. So wooden skewer. You can use a chopstick, okay? You can use just a pen or a pencil, all right? But this is where I think we're ready. We've gone through the tear-through illusion, the presentational ideas, and you can look at the preview, of course, that's this U2 hack angle. Really interesting because people, I find, are open to hacks. And you want them to believe that you could somehow penetrate this. So I tried all this stuff, and then I suddenly realized, you know what? For comedic point of view, for them to believe it, for it to look good, for me to use it as a magic wand later in my set, a 6-inch spiral nail is absolutely perfect, okay? Because you hit this hard enough. The idea of a steel nail, a sharp steel nail, being able to penetrate the middle of one of the plastic bills, now people believe. Now it makes sense. In a way with a chopstick or a pencil they wouldn't have. Because you want to make sure that you get ahead of the audience and stay ahead. So this is really why Melting Point is now at a whole other level, all right? And I tried 3-inch nails. I tried 8-inch nails. I tried nails that were narrower and nails that were thicker. But for the visual illusion, okay, for the visual illusion, if you find the tunnel, you feed this in here. For the visual illusion, I wanted to make sure that the nail wasn't too thick, because if it was too thick, then start to be a bigger gap near my fingers and thumb, because you really, this illusion, okay, from a distance is fine, but close up, I've done this trick 1 foot from like 5 people in a bar, is when I take this and push this through here, notice it's coming up right near the fingers and thumb. My first finger is really covering it, okay? You don't want to do this. That's what the elegance. This is the grip you want, okay? This grip where it looks like your hands are sort of hands off on it, but also you're definitely covering the fact, okay? So boom, like that, all right? So the nail is what sells this illusion. All right, so the original handling, the idea of crumpling this before or at least after. See, that's the other thing about this presentation I came up with, the polymer, because if these are plastic, notice that with paper, talking about dough and kneading it back together. Okay, so tongue-in-cheek. But if I tried to say I'm going to heat it up and warm up the paper, but plastic fibers, well, plastic and heat, we all know it melts. So now the whole thing's really coming together. Now I believe that you could go through the bill. Now notice too, I want to point out a couple of details here as I go along, is if you put your thumb and finger dead center, you can get that pocket. But if you put them off center a little bit, so rather than dead center, let's put them up, just a little bit up from that. Now when I make my pocket, what I can do is have it stepped. So rather than this edge and this edge being, you can see there's a little bit of room. What that can do, which is nice, and let me point this out to you, we do it this way, and I'll show you exactly why with the Canadian designer bills. All right? Now, I can find my little hole. I can do the thing. I can jam it through. And look, now I'm going to remove my fingers from this. But this, they can see this is the perfect background to show the shaft of the nail, all right? Notice how much more convincing and visual that is than when I originally taught you when you had the tunnel, when you didn't shift your position, okay? And you were here and here. Now, with these two together, is he holding it behind it? Is it inside? Sure, you can show both sides casually, okay? But when it's stepped, now be careful, because a lot of countries have the window, right? So, you got to be careful. If you're going to borrow one of the plastic bill with a window, you want to make sure that the opaque side is going to be when you do your stepped version, okay? Boom, boom. You want to make sure, because this, okay, is absolutely convincing in a way that if I did it the other way, and again, I really like my tutorials to be comprehensive here, okay? Here, we're like this. Again, with practice, you'll get this step down, no problem. Okay, here's what I'm talking about. Like this. If I'm not careful, the tunnel's going to show through the plastic, right? So these are all little details. There's no double lift. There's no classic pass. There's no retention. This is all, I mean, it's essentially a one-move trick, right? So the rest of these details are something you just have to become familiar and comfortable with. Okay, so why the nail works. How to handle the original handling with the plastic bill, being careful of the windows. Let's see the presentational ideas. I've thrown some of that stuff in there. Oh, now, let me show you a few other covers. The original handling I used a Post-it note. And it was very organic, and you can still do this with paper money, okay? Where you had a Post-it note, okay? And either you or the spectator, you could pretend to draw a hole in the Post-it note, say. And that doesn't convince you or I that it's a hole, but I think it'll convince something as dumb as a dollar bill. That was the original presentation. Or a spectator can initial the Post-it note. And why are they not initialing the bill? Did you know it's illegal to initial a bill, to mark a bill? But I'm going to show you something incredible with your own bill, and this, you mark the Post-it note. Okay, so now, whatever you're going to do, or you could even do a bullseye, okay, a bullseye on the Post-it note. These are all motivations, because I realized after I was playing with this idea for a long time, okay, and I'm talking years. I put so many, let's get this dead center here. Here we go. After years of playing around with this, there we go. I thought, I'd love to be able to show a bit more of the bill and also add a bit of mystery. Sometimes when you cover something up, you can increase the mystery factor. So I realized if I took a Post-it note, okay, and I stuck it on a bill, okay, now I can take this, put it in my hand, and as I fold it up, okay, notice that now I can hold it even, I can show even more, but I still put the tunnel in. Because the Post-it note is only adhesive on this side, you can stick it off center, and as you put it in your hand, just like before, I slip the thumb between the Post-it note and the dollar bill, okay? And I can do the same thing before, create that tunnel. Now, let me get you the ideal position. This is really the ideal. Again, it's all about a little bit of practice, because now I can hold the bill all the way over. Most of the tunnel is hidden. I just hold a hole. And now what you have, and this is what I'm getting to, my friends, you have this addition. Watch this. It's tearing through. They hear it. They see it. Clearly, if it's tearing through, okay? And then again, I can do this with my finger or with the bill. Tear it out, immediately crumple this up, or crumple the whole thing together if I want. Boom. No evidence. This does have a hole in it. They heard it. They saw it. This has no hole in it. Okay, so this was a way to add some mysterious cover and a bit more visual convincing. So with this handling here, notice you can do the same thing with a playing card. Okay, I suggest, because it can be hard, is have a hole in a folded playing card, right? Borrow the polymer bill if you want to add this to it, right? You fold it in half like this, Introduce this. It's got the hole in it like this. You can literally take it out of your pocket, put it right over where you normally would be holding, and hold it like this. Okay. So now, very casually, and the pocket's totally hidden. Right? You line up the pocket, okay, with the hole in the bill, or make sure at least that the pocket is slightly, you want to make sure that the fold, this is the revealed view, is, so you don't want this over that, you want that, you also don't want it way over here, it just looks a little not convincing. You want it just off the center when you put this in, just off the center, okay? Now, I can take this, I've got it stepped to really reveal. I can take this now, okay, hold it real firmly, and I'm going to put the, in fact, there's something to be said for holding it on this side. You can get even more purchase, let's just say. Either way, with your left hand or right hand, you find that hole, you come up here, you're going to go through. And remember, you want to make sure that you don't go through the bill for real, right? That's no good. So whether you're left-handed or you're right-handed, you're holding it here, making sure that this is just off-center. And you get this wonderful visual of the nail clearly going through. Really adds, and you can handle now everything. You can handle it even more fairly. Okay, this works stand up. The reason this trick is so strong, one of the actions, is because, well, on the microscopic level, you don't always get every visual you want. On the macro, this bill, fold in half, jab, show both sides, maybe some audio. On the macro, it's beyond doubt. It's undeniable that you're damaging the bill. So with this, of course, you got this, the same thing set up before. You can skewer through, remove it like this, okay? Like this, you can, then you drive it through or remove it, whatever, like this. And because you crumpled it before or now, notice you then can take this, pull this out, crumple it up. The evidence is here. They can examine that. Crumple this up. Take out your lighter, talking about the plastic or whatever the case may be. Open this up. And again, there's nothing to see. And one of the things I don't know this is so convincing is that when I hand this back to people, they really... they don't understand why there's not a hole or tear in their own bill. Now, so I mentioned this. I'll mention those in a second. We'll get back to that. Let me look at the black spot illusion for you, including this. This is just a funny. I want to include. These are made from Tyvek. This is an indestructible bill, okay, or a piece of paper. You can use this again and again and again and again and again. Okay, it's going to last you a long, long time. And the idea here is that you can hand this out, okay? Someone can take a look at that and say, that's a big hole. It wouldn't confuse you or me, but it's going to convince the... And again, you put this in your here, like this. So now you're here like this. And you don't have to say it's Tyvek. They can just think it's paper. And you go, but look how convincing it is. I mean, look at that. I mean, now it really looks... that really looks like a hole through the piece of paper, right? Now you can do that wonderful with the audio listen. And then show a moment later... totally restore it, okay? So this, like I said, this is a Tyvek bill. You can use this again and again and again and again, okay? This will last. This one piece will probably last you 20 shows, and you can use the other ones that are included in this pack. So that's the black hole, the psychology, but I like the reverse psychology. It looks like a big old hole, and then and then they're shocked, of course, that it's unharmed. Now, mention that. I want to mention, before we get to the gimmick, I'm teasing you, I want to mention the Ginsburg poke. A little bit of a, sometimes what I'll use is I'll keep this on me for the whole night. It's a cool magic wand. Great pocket management. Someone holds a coin, tap it, gone, whatever. So you can use this as a magic wand and a reason to go to your pocket, right? Have a coin, false transfer, go to your pocket, take this out, make it vanish. But you can also do a very old principle called the Ginsburg poke, where the deck can be shuffled. You hand the nail to someone, have them push a block of the cards. They literally, anywhere they want in a shuffled deck, they push with the head of the nail. Like this, okay? And you say, great, take a look at the card. They could be looking at absolutely any card at this point. Square it back in, cut the cards. You know where the card is. You know because you use the key card principle. Now, you're going to love this. If you don't know this, you're going to love it. When the spectator pushes out the block and you say, go ahead and you take them, or you hold it here, they push them in, you extend it to them, or, they can shuffle the cards and you can push it. You're going to push it, and what it does, they're going to take a peek at the top card of this block. And as you say, take a peek, I'm looking at the 10 of diamonds, the card above their card. I can see it, all right? When I say, take a peek at your card, I want to see it. Take a peek. As long as I angle it slightly this way, I can see the 10 of diamonds. So when they don't remove from the pack. They take a small peek at their card. We push it right back into the deck, okay? And now I know it's below the 10 of diamonds. Whatever card is below the 10 of diamonds is their card. Cut the pack, go through the cards, announce their card, whatever. So the Ginsburg poke. Very subtle technique, and works perfectly with a small, flat surface, like the head of the snail. All right. I think I've handled so much in this. The Post-it notes, the folded card, the crumpling before or after to hide the fold. It's all there. Let me show you this last little magic wand, circle the bill. I've covered so much of this stuff. Oh, you can also do this with a paper napkin, right? I want to make sure you know that you can take a paper napkin, right? Put this in your hand and use the exact same fold, right? I mean, almost any small pliable, so paper napkin works well. And again, here, of course, now with a paper napkin, if you were in a restaurant, I mean, the idea of taking this and going, look, I'm just going to, I mean, that's totally believable. It's going through and then you crumple it up and again. So now notice this is a big square napkin. It's going to work much better with the more traditional. We've all seen them. Now, this shaped napkin is going to work much better. It's more closer to the dollar bill, a rectangle rather than a square, right, with the fold. The gimmick. Using your own playing card, your own business card. Or, using your own business card. And a little gimmick I added here. Here is the gimmick that takes it to the next level. That's it. You can make it yourself. Works so beautifully. Use a business card, a piece of cardboard, a playing card. Okay? This works with so many different things. You can add this. What I've done here is I took a $5 or a bill and I cut out this section of it, about 3/4 of an inch in width all along, and this. I cut that out with a pair of scissors. Then, with a piece of tape, I glued it in place. All right. Took a nail, or you could take a pen, made a hole there, fold this in half, right, like this. This is in my pocket like this. Now, what I can do is I can borrow a bill, whether it's one of the plastic or one of the dollar bills, whatever. I can do the secret fold like this, okay? Now, when I take this out of my pocket, I take it out. I say I'm also going to use my business card. But I want, before I take it out, here's the key. Usually, with this fold, you do the fold and you turn it like a steering wheel so it's like this. What you're going to do with this gimmick is put it in your hand, do the fold. After the fold, you're going to tilt it back up like this. Actually, like this. Okay? So it's angled as opposed to being down. The whole thing is turned the other way. Rather than clockwise, it's more counterclockwise. The reason why is I'm going to take this out. I'm literally going to take this out and say I've got a piece of cardboard or my business card and I've got a small hole in it. You take it out of your pocket. You're going to slip this as soon as you let this open slightly. You're going to feed the edges, Bill, I want you to see both sides. Literally going to drop this in the middle. There's nothing fancy, no finger movement. Just let this open slightly and put the whole bill inside. All you have to do is make sure that when you do it, is that your fingers cover, make sure you don't want anybody to see that part, right? So in it goes, drag it over like this, and this is the coolest part. Now, look how fairly you can show that. I've used this piece also on a 5, a 10. You can use it with just, so you're going to cut that out. But this, so rather than holding it like this, or like this, now it's fingertip. Absolutely fingertip. The fold is totally hidden below. You've got the nail hole lined up. I mean, I can't even tell you. I started sharing this with magicians about 1.5 years ago, and when I show them this new version, even guys who knew my old version go, what the hell are you doing, right? You're here like this. So, just like before with the hole, okay? You're going to have the nail, okay? Again, if you're using a plastic bill, you're going to have the nail. Now notice what you would have maybe done with the plastic bills, first crumpled it up, then made the fold, then added the business card. Now, again, this could be a piece of, take a playing card. Take a playing card, you can apply the same thing to the playing card, okay? Or you can even just cut off a piece of the playing card so it's the size of a dollar bill. Because the folded playing card here. If you use a full playing card, you don't need the gimmick, right? Because the full playing card hides. You can use the exact same technique, though, where you're here. You can take this, slip this on here like this, the same handling, and bring it over and go from there with the playing card. Or cut 3/4 of a playing card. Okay, there's no reason why you can't. 3/4. Well, I'll use a piece of a playing card and put it on. And that way, when you've added this taped on little addition, right? As we said, where this is fed directly into there, The whole thing's here. Now you can just handle it very, very fairly, right? You can also, remember, you can use it stepped. You can have it stepped if you want, but you end up now with this gimmick. It's crazy. Because now with this gimmick, I can take the nail, slip it. We're going to find the little tunnel like before, but the whole thing happens underneath. And be careful here, because more than once or twice, I've pushed this through and ended up actually puncturing or tearing the bill, right? Here, you get this crazy visual where they get to see this. You're going up through. You're tapping it through. Now, there is no question. I mean, look at the visual. Both sides. It's going through the signed bill. They remember the serial number, whatever, right? Then at the end here, with the pen and things, chopsticks, you can pull all the way through. You can't with the head of the nail. It won't go through. So I pull down like this, right? Grab this like this. I'm going to hide the gimmick. As I pull this out, and the other hand, just crumple it up. I'm going to pull it out, crumple it up. It looks so legit. Nobody cares about this. Clearly, I mean, you can't. Clearly, there's the hole in there. That's not an issue. But then you can hand that to them or have them finish it up, give it a crumple, wave the light or whatever you want. And at this point, what people, I do that. I pull this out. I hand this to somebody, okay? Hand this to somebody. This I put in my pocket, and if I want, I can, I can certainly put it in my pocket, and a moment later, right, I'm taking it out, dropping it on the table like nothing, and all I've done is switched. So everything can be examined. Everyone's going to be wanting to look at the nail. The nail's a bit suspect, and that's what you want, because the nail is just an ordinary nail. Or they're going to want to examine the bill. There's got to be a damn hole in that bill. There has to be a hole, but there's no hole anywhere in the bill. And there's a bunch of different ways you could, again, like I said, you could put the nail in your pocket, put this in the other pocket there, and say, oh, maybe you want to examine both. Take the nail back out and have them switch this. It's a small item. Lots of different ways you could switch that if you really care. But again, everybody's looking at the nail. Everybody's looking at this. Nobody looks at that. There you have it. That is Melting Point. So much in there. The presentation supports it. The nail is perfect. You're going to find this is a nice nail to handle, not too. A bigger nail would be a pain in the butt in the pocket. Smaller nail isn't dramatic enough and doesn't work for the secret. Doesn't give you enough to show as you're going through. So I was at one point playing around with about 6 different diameters, designs, and lengths of nails. This is the perfect nail. I've done all the legwork for it. This is a trick that's been in development for more than 20 years since I originally released Dough, and now it's so much more than it was. And excitingly, you can do it anytime, anywhere, with any bill, and people believe you jammed it through, and then you impossibly restored it. Give it the love it deserves. Work on it. Have fun with it. Okay, works close-up, works stand-up. That is Melting Point. Take it easy. Hope you love it. Bye.